Hey there, today I want to talk to you about heroes and the story, the growth of the hero in fiction. And there's anti-heroes, there's heroes, but I was listening to a podcast, and this podcast, it's called 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. It's by Michael J. Nelson, Connor Listoka. They talk about Michael J. Nelson was in Mystery Science Theater 3000, one of my favorite shows. And so they're reading books that they think they're going to hate. It's kind of like Riff Tracks, it's kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where they actually do kind of a book club as they go through a book that they think they're going to hate. And it's not for everyone, but I absolutely love it. The first book they did was called Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Now, if you haven't read this book, full disclosure, I loved the book. I listened to it. It was an audiobook, and it was read by, what's his name? It was Will Wheaton. It was read by Will Wheaton, and it was very entertaining. I enjoyed the book. I'm not an 80s baby. I'm not an 80s person. I mean, I am an 80s baby. I didn't grow up in the 80s, but I still found it really fun. It was just very entertaining. It's a fun, literal Easter egg hunt. And so I really enjoyed it. But listening to them, they were talking about the main character. His name is Will Wade, and he's a teenager kid, and he is our hero. He's our protagonist, and his whole goal is to find the Easter egg so that he can inherit the Oasis, this virtual world, and basically save it from evil corporations. But one of the things they point out in the podcast, and it's absolutely true, is that there's no arc, there's no growth, and there's no virtues that he displays that allow him to somehow be the hero that deserves the inheritance of this fortune of the Oasis. At no point does he display sacrifice for anybody. He doesn't show courage. In fact, a lot of times he's bad-mouthing other people, other characters in the book. He seems to be petulant. He seems to be very self-focused. And he doesn't seem to be in any different of a place by the end of the book. And most of the actual action is virtual, so there are no consequences in the real world as far as what his character, his avatar, does. And so I thought that was interesting that here's this, world-renowned book, #1 bestseller, selling millions of copies. And again, I loved the book. I found it very entertaining. I couldn't wait to hear what happened next. And so it absolutely succeeded in that point. But the hero had no virtues that you could say, oh wow, he deserved that. He should have the gift. He should have the reward at the end because he was someone who was worthy. Now, let's go to Harry Potter. I just finished listening to Harry Potter. Now, I'm trying to read and listen to audiobooks at the same time. I want to truly read because I think there's value in reading a book, whether you're e-reading or reading a physical copy, which I prefer. I think there's value in sitting down, the concentration, and just reading that way. But I can get a lot of things done and listen to books while I'm doing it, so I enjoy doing that too. So I listened to Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry Potter fanatic. I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter, but I'm not against it either. But I was reading it. It's a fun book. J.K. Rowling does an incredible job with the entire world. Everyone knows Hogwarts and the wizarding world of Harry Potter. It's incredible. So I was listening to the first book, and man, she packs all kinds of virtues and growth in her characters. Harry Potter goes from this wide-eyed kid who he doesn't even think he has much value and worth, and then by the end of it, he's making decisions to save the school and save essentially the world. If it sacrifices his life, so be it, so long as I've saved everyone else. If I don't do this, if I don't try to stop Voldemort, or he who must not be named, if I don't try to stop Voldemort, who cares about the school? Who cares about the rest of this? Because it's not going to be around. So I'm willing to sacrifice my life. If that's not a hero, I don't know what is. And then you have Ron and Hermione are saying, hey, we're in this with you. Saying, we've got your back. Friendship matters. Sacrifice matters. That, and in fact, I think she actually says that in the book, just flat out puts it out there. And then you've got Neville, who at the end of the book, Dumbledore actually assigns points to Gryffindor that helps them win the Wizard Cup, or win the whatever the school cup is at the end, because he stood up to his friends. He talks about how hard it is to stand up to anybody, let alone your friends. And so Neville goes from this sniveling, loser who always loses his frog, and Malfoy makes fun of, to someone who jumps in to back up Ron when he's fighting Malfoy and Crabbe and Goyle. In fact, Neville tries to take out Crabbe and Goyle by himself. That hasn't happened before that. And then he stands up to them at the end saying, you can't just go sneaking off. I'm not going to let you do it. And those are his only friends. And so you have just these two. Here's Harry Potter, that's a worldwide phenomenon. And I don't know that Ready Player One quite got to Harry Potter level by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a #1 bestseller. And just looking at the two heroes, and there's nothing like them at all. They're not all alike. And that actually gets me to think about, and this is, rant time here, but this gets me to thinking about a lot of the superhero movies where something chooses a specific person. And I've always wondered about this, and it's always kind of just been dumb to me. And again, I love superhero movies. And you get something like Green Lantern that picks Ryan Reynolds' character of all the billions of people in the world who best represents the Green Lantern way of defending the universe. And it picks Hal Jordan. It picks this cocky Air Force pilot who is a womanizer, who is full of himself. And sure, he grows, but that's the person that it chose. There was nobody that was more deserving of it than Hal Jordan. Like, come on, you gotta be kidding me. Or Shazam, where it picks this little kid who is a thief and he's angsty and he's full of himself, and that's who it chooses of all the people in the world. And it doesn't choose this one kid. It doesn't choose the villain because he was bullied by his dad and his brother. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Of all the, what is it actually choosing people based on? I'd love to see the criteria, because you also see Captain America. I was about to say Captain Planet. See Captain America, where it chooses, Steve Rogers, chooses Steve Rogers because of his courage, because of his willingness. He's a small man who wants to stand up to the bullies. He wants to fight evil. He wants to take care of and protect. And you can see this by how he jumps on the hand grenade when he thinks it's live to protect and save people and lose his life. You see his ingenuity with how he takes down the flag when no one else in the army can do it. And you just see all of his traits, and you can understand why they chose him to get this super strength serum, because he deserves it. Because his virtues actually would be exhibited and magnified through this power. And you just don't see that in a lot. Doctor Strange, this arrogant, full of himself, son of a gun surgeon, and he just walks up to this place in Tibet, and they say, hey, how would you like to take care of the entire universe? Because you deserve it. Because you are someone who is worthy of all the people. We're just going to show you all these powers, this magic, and you are going to be the hero of Earth. You're going to be the savior of Earth because you're an arrogant prick. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I was just thinking, if you have a hero, there's got to be some sort of growth. There's got to be some sort of arc. There has to be... You have to see some reason why they're the hero and someone else is not. And even if it's not there at the beginning, it should be there at the end. And those are just some thoughts that I had for this week.